Hello, we're here with Sierra Hall, the great Sierra Hall. I'm Scott Wilkins, this is Backstage View. Sierra, again, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
And
Good to
we're
be
here
here.
in Philadelphia at the World Cafe.
Here we are.
It's going to be a great night of music here. Tell me about, on the new album, what it was like working with Bela Fleck.
It was amazing. I mean, I've been a Bela fan for, so many years now, and, probably first heard his music when I was about, 9 years old, 9 or 10, something like that.
Yeah.
And so to get the chance to work with somebody that I respect like that, and I mean, he's really one of the most brilliant musicians I've got the chance to be around and work with. It was really exciting.
How's the process when he's producing it? Like, are you guys, is the work already, the music pretty much worked out ahead of time and he's helping you at that point, or is it?
Well, I'd been writing this music for quite a while. Some pieces of it had been around even since back when I was in high school. Some of it, some of it definitely recent when I came to him. Some of it was still being written when I started working with him, but some of it definitely had been around for a while. But a lot of the pieces I had originally written playing guitar. And so I went in the studio, I recorded 6 tracks producing myself before I brought Bela on board or even thought about doing that. And just kind of was getting input from too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen, that kind of thing, to where I started to just get a little flustered and feel like I had to get away from it. I wasn't sure if I loved it or if I hated it or how I felt about it anymore. So I kind of got away from it. So out of those 6 tracks, 5 of those songs we actually did on the Weighted Mind album, but they were quite a bit different in approach. So the songs were already there for the most part, and then it was him who said, I think it was the song Compass, which is like the first full vocal song you hear on the album. He said, when I first got together with him and we were talking about doing this project together, I had played him some of the stuff that I had previously recorded, and he said, now, can you just try playing that just by yourself for a second, just right here? And so I was like, well, okay. So I played a little bit of that, just, singing and playing the mandolin rather than guitar. And he said, see, he's like, to me, that's compelling. He said, maybe that's the starting place. That's where we need to start, is have you approach all this stuff from a solo point of view. Because what was happening is when I was producing myself, I was appreciating all the other people that were playing with me and thinking.
So you had the whole band?
Well, I had a big band of musicians playing with me, even drums on some stuff. I was playing a lot of guitar, only contributing mandolin if it felt like something that really needed it. I wanted this to be an album that was about the songs from the beginning. I didn't want it to feel like, oh, here's me playing a bunch of mandolin just to be playing a bunch of mandolin, just to be forcing it on there. I wanted the songs to really kind of stand out, and the lyrics and things like that. And so, but I think what was happening is, in some ways, I was saying, oh, this person sounds great on this and this person sounds great on that. And before you know it, I wasn't really leaving myself any room to be heard on my own project. And so I think having him say to me, what happens if you just do mandolin and voice and start there, and then if we add anything to it, it needs to be built around those two things. It doesn't need to cover up that in any way. That needs to be the center. And so it was a bit of a different approach. And
so when you said you were producing it yourself at first, what does it mean though to produce it? How does that differ for you're writing the songs, so you're putting the songs together? What is the extra element of producing? What does that mean?
Well, deciding what the instrumentation is going to be, deciding there's so many different ways. You can have a song written, but deciding how you're gonna really arrange the song, what songs to do. I mean, I had a whole slew of songs that I was trying to choose which ones
Is there
I really
regrets
wanted.
ever when it comes down to, all right, we're going to get rid of these songs? Do you ever look back? Or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel good about the songs that we chose for this project, and also it doesn't mean those songs won't find their way eventually to something else, and that they don't have. I mean, they could still find a place. So
and the album is extremely unique, and
Thank you.
you played at the White House, you played at Carnegie Hall, you played at the Kennedy Center, and you were the first bluegrass musician to receive the Presidential Scholarship at Berklee School of Music, where you just came back from on tour. Tell us from the beginning, how'd that whole thing come about, that you got the Presidential Scholarship?
Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to even go to school after, to college after high school. I had, wanted to play professionally and tour, and had already been getting busier and busier.
Right,
and
you were
it
on
seemed
tour already, though, weren't
it
you?
seemed like it would be
Regularly.
possible just to go ahead and just do it,
Right.
out of high school. But Berklee had reached out to me when I was, I guess, a sophomore in high school, and I didn't really know about Berklee at that time, believe it or
Right.
not. But they said, if you're interested in coming to music school, when you graduate, we'd love to have you here. And so it was at that point that I kind of was like, oh, and in my mind I kind of went, well, yeah, I don't know, probably not gonna do that. But then when I started researching Berklee, I remember, mentioning it just in passing to a couple people, and they were like, "Oh, Berklee College of Music, that's a great school. You really should check that out." And so that's when I decided to actually go up there my senior year, and at least check it out, have it as an option, because they had originally said, we know that we can offer you a full tuition scholarship, but it was sort of like, but we also have this thing called the Presidential Award, and you go up and you kind of do an audition, and they choose, a few people a year that get it. And I thought, well, never in a million years would I get that. I just, there's so many talented people up there. It really blew me away. But the thing about getting that scholarship, it meant that everything, 100% of everything was covered. And then being the first person from sort of my scene to get to do something like that, I really, I just really felt like, well, this is an important opportunity that I really felt like I needed to take.
Right.
So that's kind of why I decided to do it.
And how great! It just seems like it must have changed your whole approach to playing music. It must have added.
It
some-
did. I mean, and people always say, oh, I'm sure going to Berklee, your world just changed. I don't know that I can say, I can put a finger on how, well, I got this, and this is what completely, changed my world. But I think, just the process, even the life experience of moving from the tiny little town in Byrdstown, Tennessee that I grew up in, of, 900 people, no red light, to Boston, straight out of high school to that. It's quite a change in atmosphere of just life and everything. And so,
were you touring though at the same time, on breaks?
I was, and even my first semester I was barely at school. But they were so good about working with me and making it possible. And so I.
And how was it when you just
decided
went back
to-
now?
It was great. Yeah, I mean, it was short visit. We played last night
Right.
at this venue called the Red Room that they have there on campus. But yeah, it's always fun to get to go back and see what's changed in the 5 years or whatever I've been gone. So
5 years. Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
flies.
I want to ask, going to your past, when you were younger, writing songs, the process that you had to evolve. What was the process then of writing a song compared to the process now of writing a song?
Well, I would just say, simply put, when I would write before, there's so much about just, you're just trying to write a melody that's pleasing, just trying to write a lyric that follows suit. And so much of it before, I think, was me writing based on other songs I loved, inspiration from, well, this is a great song, could I write something kind of like that? Whereas now it's a little bit, not that I still get that kind of inspiration, but it's also a little bit more what do I really feel like singing about? What do I really feel like saying? And the older I get, the more that takes a bigger priority for me than it used to. And I think that just sort of came out of getting older and feeling like, I really want to say what I feel rather than just singing about something that is just a cool subject or
Well,
something.
you say about getting older. Your first album, how old were you when you produced the first?
The Secrets album.
Yeah. How old?
I was 15 when we recorded
So-
that, and it came out about a year later.
You've been playing your whole life. I was thinking your parents and family must be really special to have helped encourage you, I assume, to this point. Like, what was it like when you were younger, and how were the folks
Oh, well,
about the whole thing?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever that I, could have done this without my parents, because,
Their encouragement.
well, their
has been tremendous.
encouragement, it takes a parent to take you to lessons or to take you to festivals or to drive you, if somebody called and I had this amazing opportunity to go, do something like go to IBMA or to go play with one of my heroes or this, the only way those people could have even known about me at all was because my parents would take me to the local festival or
Were
would
they
take me here,
musicians?
and then people hear about you. My dad played, definitely. He was learning mandolin around the time that I started getting interested in it. He had already been like learning tunes, and
That could be encouraging for you. That must have helped
yeah,
out
well,
your
he really
encouragement.
loved it, and he got excited that I was interested in it, and so he really dedicated, every evening my parents always have worked really hard jobs and long hours and things like that, and every day he would come home from work, and I know he was exhausted, but he would sit there and play guitar rhythm for me while I would practice the fiddle tunes I had learned or whatever, and we would spend hours playing.
Do you have other siblings?
I have an older brother, Cody.
Does
Yeah.
he play?
He does, yeah. He plays guitar and sings. Yeah, we used to play together like a bunch growing up in churches and local events and things like that. And he still plays some. He's getting ready to release his first album. So
that's awesome.
yeah, but he's a school teacher full time, and has always loved music, but kind of done it a little bit more on the side. But getting ready to put out a project.
What's the mandolin that you use? What kind of mandolin is it?
The
story
the mandolin.
behind it?
Well, I got that mandolin. Let's see, in 2009. It's a Gibson Master Model, so I got it from Gibson. A guy named Dave Harvey there built it, and
Great.
so I've had it pretty much since it was new, and it's been my main mandolin since.
Right. Yeah.
And then I also play octave mandolin a lot in the show, and that's it's a Weber. I have a couple Webers, but the particular one I'm playing tonight and on the album and most of the live show is a Weber Bridger octave. That's the model.
Wow. Anyway, so after this, where you heading? What's on the tour? You're the festivals. What are the festivals like? You got Gray Fox. You got Belfast.
Yeah, so I guess the most immediate one, we just played Old Settlers in Texas last weekend. That was the first festival of the year. Then the next two we have coming up next weekend are one in Baltimore called Charm City.
Charm City, yeah, that's a tremendous one.
Yeah, it looks really fun. We've been there one other time, and then we're going to
one-day
Merle Fest.
event.
It's a one-day
Yeah,
event, so we'll play there and then go straight to Merle Fest from there, play Merle Fest. Del Fest later in the month.
yeah.
We're doing Telluride, which I'm really excited about, in Telluride, Colorado. Man, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Bunch of them this year. High Sierra Music Festival in California.
Great, great.
Yeah, which is also another really fun one.
Well,
so.
I gotta say, I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Yeah.
And thanks so much.
Man, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me the time to speak with you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yeah. Best of luck.